Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. My name's Chris Connell, for those of you who don't know me, and I am recently been appointed as the head of the Microsoft SRI campaign here at Ingram Micro. And today I'm here and I'm joined by Richard Keegan, who's a security specialist at Hewlett Packard. So today our aim is to get across some messages of how important security is, what the likes of Microsoft and HP have done around that in order, to ensure that security is at the forefront of people's decisions. First of all, let me just touch on the point, and we keep hearing about it, that Windows 10 support is coming to an end as of October the 14th, 2025, so that's less than 1 year away. And I don't think people, are understanding the importance of this, but not just, the importance around making that upgrade, but also, the reasons why that upgrade is needed. So, Richard, could you give us a bit of an overview, really, with regards to, what HP have been doing to, support that area?
Yes, absolutely. So, firstly, again, thank you for having us in today to talk about this subject, because it probably is the number one subject that a lot of our customers are speaking to us today about. I think, firstly, what HP tried to do is complement the OS, right? So as you just rightly said there, Windows 11 Pro is going to be the most secure OS ever. There's a lot of reasons why Microsoft have done this. Obviously, we all know how the landscape and the way that everyone works today has changed. What we try to do at HP is adapt around this and kind of find areas that we can support and complement, obviously, the good features that obviously Windows 11 Pro will have. So if we're talking about kind of firmware and how we help kind of below the OS, if you like, so before all the good features in Windows 11 have kicked in and started protecting those users, we're actually down at a BIOS level on the machine, helping secure the device, those first million lines of code, and as soon as that power button's touched. But definitely something that we're very conscious of as well is, and of course, hackers and people with malicious intent are also aware that there is more vulnerabilities on a device with an OS than just the OS.
Of course.
So with the firmware, for instance, we put a piece of custom silicone into all our devices, all our commercial devices, called an endpoint security controller, which sits down at that BIOS level, not visible from the OS or motherboard or anything like that, and really secures that whole area. At HP, we write our own BIOS. So in conjunction with that and the endpoint security controller, we developed a technology called Sure Start, which allows us to have like a self-healing BIOS. So if you think of pressing that power button, the kind of stuff that happens, while you're waiting for the that is all happening and being protected by our technology of Sure Start, allowing Windows 11 to open up and run with all its good security features.
There's also things that are built into it, like TPM2, for example.
Exactly.
So TPM2, which is there to, protect against the latest threats. BitLocker for data protection as well is also there, and then you got like multi-layered, to protect against apps and stuff like this as well, from around like malware and a phishing perspective, so again, I believe like HP, have been building like some technologies that, help and work and complement alongside things like TPM and BitLocker and stuff in order to continue, even more advanced protection.
Yes, certainly. I mean, the endpoint security controller that I previously mentioned, we've actually released version 2 of it, which we believe is quantum safe. So when quantum compute does become a thing, and we're worried about some of the technologies that we've relied on for so long, like BitLocker, and, can that encryption be broken by a quantum computer? Us at HP are kind of having that vision of looking 10 years out into the future about threats that could potentially be coming along as well. I think you mentioned Windows Hello there as well, and the screen technology. With things like SureView, obviously we've taken steps to kind of stop not only things that happen in the device and kind of from other computers or over the net as well, but also the kind of up close and personal things. I don't want to start a spy novel here or anything, but people shoulder surfing. I mean, I do it on the train all the time. If I'm over there, I'm pretty nosy by nature. So if
my kids are prime for it.
Exactly.
You stop looking at my phone while I'm on it.
Exactly.
Yeah, but so I hear you.
If you see a screen, you're drawn to it. And some of the information that's on there can be sensitive as well. So SureView allows them to kind of narrow that viewing technology, much like the privacy filters that a lot of people use. We build it into our screens as well. With things like Windows Hello, that can be set to recognize Windows Hello. It can recognize certain apps that are open on the device as well and turn on and off. It's controlled by the user primarily, but you can set those kind of safeguards in organizations so sensitive data is, for the eyes it was intended for.
Of course. No, that's great. And thanks for that overview. And you're right, you can't be too careful these days, whether it's people looking over your shoulder, whether it's things that you're posting on social media, all these bits and pieces. People, don't sometimes realize the risk that they're putting themselves at, by, and it kind of leads me on to one of my next points, but the world's advancing, we all know, things like the pandemic, obviously made people, having to work from home, hybrid working spaces. And obviously that's continued further down the line, and, the hardware is becoming, needs to be, things like security needs to be looking more like hardware endpoint now, whereas, typically, I've worked a bit in cybersecurity in the past, and endpoint has obviously always been the bread and butter, it's always been the core part of any cybersecurity company. But obviously then advancements have come, especially in the worlds of enterprise with threat intelligence and all these bits and pieces. But, with the new hybrid working model that's there, and how security has become even more important within organizations, and the fact that the majority of threats, and security issues are human-led, unfortunately, user error, as people like to call it. And unfortunately through them user things, financially motivated attacks can happen, things like credential theft, phishing and so on and so forth are in place, and obviously, and will continue, as this world continues to develop into the digital age that we now live in. And I know, again, HP have been working around technologies in order to, again, like I said before, complement and, obviously try to combat these issues that are out there.
Chris, I mean, you've made really good points there, and two of them I kind of like to touch on is, unfortunately, as much as our technology advances, so does the bad guys, right?
Of course.
People probably are the weak link in this scenario. So we try to look at ways that we can kind of protect those users, but still allow them to do their job. So obviously it is people's jobs to click on links. We can't expect HR not to open CVs that they're sending. They don't know where they've originated from. They don't know the PC that those were made on, or anything that could be embedded in those documents. So, we take a policy around isolation technology and a kind of zero trust method as well. So moving away from detection-based maybe softwares that work, and really complementing them to see how we can, support that final step. So if you think about AVs that are out doing a job, we've been relying on them for 20 plus years, and they've been out there doing a fantastic job about stopping stuff coming into our networks and environment. But I think as threat landscapes changes, we need to look at how we can complement them and bolster that. I think security is a very multi-layered approach today. So at HP, we've developed some isolation technology, and we kind of think about things a bit different. So moving away from that kind of detection-based technology to more of a trust boundary, if you like. So something comes into my inbox and it's targeted at person, it's targeted on someone clicking on a link. So does my organization trust where it's come from and where it's originated? So quite simply, if something came into me and it didn't have an hp.com email address, we could mark it as untrusted. That would then be opened in an isolated container. So it wouldn't be opened up on the machine, it would be opened up on a virtual machine. Now, anything that's contained in that, PDF document, Excel spreadsheet, web link even, so we can open a web page in isolation as well, would be containerized, and it wouldn't be able to get out onto that device and then spread onto the network. So I think, in summary, what we're trying to do is allow users to not second guess and think things. We all do phishing tests in the organization. I'm yet to find someone who got 100% when they've done a phishing test in their organization and everyone was, really well educated, didn't click on the link. But again, like I said at the last point, we're curious by nature, aren't we?
Yeah, of course we are. That kind of leads into, it's kind of triggered a little thought in my head there, I say from an element of background I had in cybersecurity, that it used to be this thing like, security used to be a reactive, kind of thing, oh no, we've had a breach. Oh no, how do we fix it? And then how do we prevent it? And I think now with the technologies that you're touching on there, and obviously the technologies that are in Windows 11 Pro, it's more about, it's more about prediction and prevention before, instead of it being reaction, and some of the stuff you touched on there, helps organizations, make sure that they're protected before obviously that attack happens, and that's, and that to me is of a massive benefit to an organization, because, once you're hacked, they're in, and who knows what them costs could potentially be.
Yeah.
Not only from a financial perspective, but also from a credentials perspective, and perception perspective. So that's good to hear. That's good to hear that, that OEMs and companies like HP, are also considering that stuff when they're building their technologies alongside Windows 11.
Well, with the detection-based kind of methodology, obviously things are coming in, but where we isolate the technology as well, it's not that rush to get it off the network, to turn the device off, because it's containerized. So actually we can then feed back all that rich information of what the threat was trying to do back into a cloud-based dashboard, which the users can, the SOC team can take time to go and analyze. They can then use that information to bolster other security profiles within the business. So yes, absolutely, prevention is key and knowledge is power, I guess, in that situation.
Exactly. So, okay, so thanks for that part, Richard. So I guess leading on to the next topic, we had Windows 10 for, how many other years that's been now, and obviously Windows 11's been around now, and obviously is the core operating system now, with Windows 10 obviously going. And Windows 11 has, been built by, secure by design and, secure by default. So pretty much if you're purchasing a HP laptop or a HP PC with Windows 11 Pro, it's kind of like security in a box, now, which is great, whereas if you looked at Windows 10 had obviously security protocols and features behind it, but it was reliant on an IT department or the actual user itself, to activate these securities, so again, that leads around, the element of Windows 11 Pro being the most secure Windows ever. Companies that have already got Windows 11 Pro installed have seen, I think it's something like a 58% decline in cyber threats that have come in, and cyber detections that obviously have come into their organizations. So great, that's a great stat to have there already, but also from a productivity perspective, that the IT company, the IT departments, the IT managers, I think are seeing something like a 25% productivity improvement with regards to, the way that they're obviously managing their IT departments. So, because, typically security probably is that one that is, takes up a lot of time, takes a lot of effort, in order to make sure that the right things are installed, the education is out there, but that education part has become even more important, as we touched already, around the hybrid working, so being able to, have Windows 11 by design and by default is really, a benefit to that new hybrid workplace that, that we find ourselves in. So what are your thoughts around that?
Again, another really interesting subject, actually, and a lot of kind of our IT departments that we speak to and try and help them, I guess, navigating this new way of managing these hybrid estates where devices are in the office, out of the office, and everywhere in between. Okay. Yeah. So something we've been asked for was, we heard a common story basically of in 2020, everyone disappeared and they disappeared with all their stuff out of the office, and we don't quite know where it went.
We were probably one of them as well.
Yeah. Everyone loaded everything onto a wheelie chair and wheeled it out to their car. It happened in crazy times, right? But now that we're trying to get back to some normality, find that kind of balancing point and middle point of how people work at home and coffee shops and in the office and planes, trains and automobiles, right? How do they manage those devices? How do you secure those devices, and how do you secure the data that's on them? So again, another technology we've worked on at HP is Protect and Trace with Wolf Connect.
Okay.
So this is actually where a device is custom built at our factory for a specific user. We install a eSIM on the device. Remember, if I reference back to that kind of endpoint security controller, so it's right down at the BIOS level of the device. That then is again hooked up to kind of a cloud portal where an IT department could manage their fleet of devices. They're able to then have some very simple commands. This is a very low power module as well, so it's always on. I think that's the key feature, right? It gives them that connection to that device if it's not connected to a network, even if it's not switched on. So that's quite key. And this is really addressing, people leaving things in taxis, on trains, hopefully, but lost or stolen. These things can happen, right? It could just be they've left it in the pub off them. on the way home on a Thursday night. But we all know these scenarios happen. But essentially, what this allows the IT department to do is have some controls over that device.
Course, yeah.
So as you'd like to imagine, firstly, you get a panicked user phoning you up. I've left my device on a train. I don't know where it is. I'm separated from it. You can ping that device to get a one-time location. Yeah. Okay, so you can see it's at the train depot in XYZ. You can then give the user that information, and hopefully they can go and recover that device.
Of course.
Whilst they're traveling, because maybe it has gone an extra 50 miles and it is sat in a train depot somewhere, you can lock that device as well. So you can lock it down at a BIOS level as well. So when we talk about being locked right down again under the OS and locked, that device is then kind of bricked. No, it's not useful to anyone. They couldn't go ahead and re-image it and use it in the future. So you're protecting your asset, I guess, from the out point as well. You can put a personalized message on the screen to say this device is being tracked, or you can identify yourself or not. Again, company security protocols will kind of dictate what they do and if they want to put a message up on there. But the option's there. So hopefully, scenario A, the user's reunited with the device. Everyone's happy. You can tell that it hasn't been touched or tampered with. If it was still in the seat he left it or where he left it, fine. You can issue an unlock code to them as well.
Okay.
So they can then unlock that device and get kind of away and working again. I guess in scenario 2, which, we don't want to think about, but, we want to recover that device. Obviously, it's an asset to the organisation. Yeah. But if you can't, what data's on there? Mm-hmm. Now, I know a lot of stuff is stored in the cloud and we work with all that kind of stuff. But again, going back to that kind of human nature element and people were maybe the thing we need to protect against, we save stuff to our local hard drive, what we do. And if it's something important you're working on and you just need constant access to it, it might be okay to put in the cloud once you're finished with it. But as you're working on it, it could be on your local drive. So again, as a last resort, you're able to issue a wipe command to that device to wipe the primary drive as well.
Okay.
So if you think about how we're trying to support people from a device perspective, but also as well, firstly, secure the asset, but then more importantly, what's the data that's on that device and how sensitive it is to you. You mentioned reputation. Reputation can be everything to an organisation, and that one bit of data that gets out, could be
exactly
crucial.
The impact of the brand could be huge. As I say, it's not financial. Not always the time. If there's a data leak or something like that, it's more about reputation of that organisation. Because do I really want to use them again?
Exactly.
Is my information ever going to be safe? And then all of a sudden, who knows what that is worth from a monetary perspective further down the line, right? So, you touched on the part there as well. Around the chip. Being low powered, So again, people may have some concerns that, with all this great new technology that's there with Windows 11 Pro, with the manufacturers and, special technologies that they have built into their device, I think it's important to let the users know, that actually everything that's been worked on, installed and advanced is actually done with that in mind. That all these new great technologies, etc., will not impact the performance of your machine. Because everyone thinks, well, it's great, I'm going to have all these new, all singing, all dancing, all bells kind of things on my machine, but what's that going to do from a performance perspective? And we need to be pretty clear to the users out there. There will be no impact. Technology has advanced so much, that you will continue to get optimal performance from your devices no matter what.
Absolutely. I mean, as you'll be well aware, we work very closely with Intel and AMD on their chips and the stuff that the technology they're putting into, the advancements that's happened in those areas over the last few years really kind of alleviates the stuff we're putting on these devices, as fast as we can create, security things and new OS systems for these devices. The actual hardware itself is taking, massive steps and advancements. Yeah.
Excellent. I guess the parting message here is, Windows 11 Pro, it's super important. It's super advanced. It's there to protect you and your organizations, so make that upgrade soon. You've got less than 12 months to be able to do so. So make sure you're protected, make sure you're up to date.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's going to be a secure OS, so, please use it on a secure device.
Yeah, exactly. Richard, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks.
And I hope the drive home is not too long for you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.